Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I want to tackle 5 mistakes that you're probably making with your Facebook ads and how you can fix them. When it comes to running Facebook ads, even the most seasoned marketers make mistakes when it comes to performance optimization or simply the budget. And if you're not really experienced, you most likely just set up a campaign, you throw in all the budget, you burn through the budget without really getting any return on your investment. And I've been running online ads for the past decade, so I definitely know what I'm talking about. I've seen all the mistakes. I launch campaigns on multiple channels, whether it's Meta, so the metaverse, Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, LinkedIn, TikTok, you name it. So I want to share with you the most common mistakes that people are making when they're running their Facebook ads, and of course, how you can fix them. Mistake number 1 is neglecting to test your creatives, your audiences, and the formats. Many marketers and people who run Facebook ads for the very first time, they set up the campaign and they call it a one and done. So you create a campaign, you create your ad sets, the targeting, you upload your creatives, and you just set it and forget it without running proper tests. But the key to Facebook ad success is to constantly experiment. You need to test not only images, but you need to test the formats. So what works best? Carousels, user-generated content, reels, static images, stock photos. You have to test it all. And then within each creative, you want to test the copy, you want to test the call to action, and you want to test where do you place certain elements. When it comes to testing, you want to be very strategic when you run tests. So you either do an audience testing, you do a location testing, so the demographic, or you do creative testing. I recommend you start with your creative testing because that will get you to the success a bit faster. And when you do creative testing, you want to separate your ads into themes. So for example, you have one ad set that is, let's say, testimonials. You have one ad set that is a talking head video. You have one ad set that are just purely consisting out of stock photos. And then within the ads, you only want to make really small adjustments. So for instance, the headline, the call to action, or the button that Facebook lets you put on the ad. So I'm referring to the learn more, sign up now, book now. For example, you want to test the button first. So does a book now or sign up now work better? Once you identify that, you want to test, okay, what headline works better? So it's slow testing, but constant testing. You run Facebook ads in general, especially when you just launch them, they need time to flourish. Plan for at least 3 to 4 days of runtime with a sufficient budget. And when I say sufficient budget, I'm referring to about $450 per ad set if you're not setting a lifetime budget. And if you're not hitting 20 conversions, you need to tweak your ad because you need to complete 20 conversions for Facebook to finish the learning phase. And the learning phase is where Facebook tries to serve your ad to different audiences to see what resonates. Once the 20 conversions are in place, your ad will deliver to more relevant people and usually get those 20 conversions with a budget of like $450. And then of course, every underperformer that has sufficient time to run, so where you can be sure that you can make an accurate assessment whether this ad or this ad set, the location or the creative works. If they're not working, turn them off so you're not wasting money. Number 2, overly narrowing your target audience. And I've seen it time and time again where people want to target to the smallest little grain. I completely disagree with super targeting and like layering a lot of audiences because Facebook's algorithm is smarter than what you might give it credit for. The problem what I have with layering audiences, so you target more people. When I say layering audiences, let's say females in the age of 25 to 35, going to the gym, reading Vogue magazine and eating healthy, living in California or living in just New York City. That is a very specific targeting and it's very niche. And the more layers you put on top, the more your reach will shrink. That leads then to your cost per lead will increase. So the more you shrink your audience, the more you want to define your audience, the higher your cost per lead will be. Also keep in mind that Too many restrictions will limit the algorithm's ability to find people that will click on your ad, that will drive forward the conversion, will engage with your ad. Also, if you layer too many audiences and if you're trying to penetrate the same audience over and over again, your frequency on the ad will go up, which then will increase your ad fatigue. And if you ask yourself, what is ad fatigue? If your ad is being shown to the same person over and over again, they kind of seen your ad and it's like, you know what, I'm not interested in this stuff anymore. And your ad loses the ability to attract people. So hence we call it ad fatigue. If you reach ad fatigue, so if you reach a frequency of 1.5 or 2 and anything above, you definitely need to change the creative or you need to rethink your targeting strategy. And ad fatigue is directly linked to your frequency, and the frequency you'll be able to see in the metrics in your ads manager. What I've also noticed, a lot of business owners are very interested in buying third-party data, thinking if I just plug in my third-party data into my Facebook ads, it will give me tremendous results. But that's not always the case, because again, if you get third-party data, you plug it into your ads manager and you run ads, of course it might give you results, but because this pool of people is very small, your cost per lead might be more expensive, so your ad overall is more expensive. And again, I would say try out the Facebook's algorithm first without any restrictions. Of course, if you have an age restriction or a location restriction, put them in, but let the algorithm figure it out first before you want to layer on any targeting or you want to introduce third-party data. Another missed opportunity that I see a lot is not utilizing lookalike audiences. And lookalike audiences can be built on website visitor, on people who are clicking on a form, on a lead form on Facebook. So you can create different lookalike audiences and see how they perform online. What I recommend is to upload your CRM data to Facebook. So whether people who submit a request or signed clients or whatever CRM data do you think is important, that you think, you know, if we target the same people or people they have similar behaviors online, will get great results. So that's the data you want to upload to Facebook. And don't just stop at a 1% testing. So when you create lookalike audiences, you can create anything from 1 to 10%. And I don't want that you create 1 to 10% and put them on one audience, but I would recommend test an audience 1%, 2 to 3%, 4 to 5%, 6 to 7, and 8 to 9, and see which audience performs the best. Of course, the higher the percentage, the more it will be, I want to say, spread out. So 1% is the closest to the data you upload, and then obviously 9% is the widest range that Facebook can give you. But I would recommend test different lookalike audiences, different percentage variations, because you might be surprised. Sometimes a 5% audience, a 5% lookalike audience is converting much better than a 2% audience. And again, it all comes down to testing and testing different lookalike audiences, testing different lookalike percentages, and also different lookalike audiences in a sense of signed clients, maybe people who just submit the request, returning customers, and you can upload all the data to Facebook. And I just want to provide a word of caution. If you're able to advertise nationwide, so let's say you can advertise your product in the entire United States, or even if you have an online store that ships worldwide, so you can target the entire world, of course, layering your audience or using third-party data might be a little bit more advantageous to you because you have a larger pool to target. But if you're restricted on whether it's a zip code, it's a city, or it's a state, and you layer a lot of audiences on top of each other, or you're relying heavily on third-party data, then your ad has a chance to perform poorly, and your cost, so your cost per lead, your cost per impressions, and your ad frequency might skyrocket. Mistake number 3 is relying on outdated creatives. With easy access to AI tools to produce content, many business owners turn to these AI tools to create content for their ads. And of course, AI makes it super easy to create content. You put in a quick prompt and you get a picture, an output, and you think, oh, this is a great picture, let me just run an ad with this. But you don't really consider whether it truly resonates with your audience or not. And resonating meaning, does it emotionally connect with your audience? Successful campaigns don't just rely on AI-generated content. AI-generated content is great if you know how to create it properly, if you really understand your audience, and if you can create this emotional connection. But if you're not really in tune into these AI tools to 100% can say, I'm great at this and I know exactly how to create an ad that my audience resonates with, I would say stay away from any AI tools. It's not about content. It's not about pushing out tons of content, but it's about putting out content and ads that really resonates with your audience. And I've seen successful campaigns nowadays include a lot of user-generated content. So whether it's influencers showing off your product, customer testimonials, or overall authentic content. Especially when you think about TikTok or Instagram, when you scroll and you see an ad, you usually scroll right past it, especially on TikTok. But if your ad just feels a little bit more native to the platform and it's a talking head video, it's a user-generated piece of content, your audience or people who see the ad might not immediately identify it as an ad and therefore consume it. And then they think, hey, this is actually what I need, and then take action. And when I say user-generated content, you can reach out to creators online and say, hey, can you create content for me? Can you show my product and just do a video and send it to me? You don't have to post it, but then you can use it on your ads, or you produce content in-house that looks like user-generated content. And user-generated content is usually a talking head video or a person in front of the camera that showcases your product, that showcases use of the product, but not focusing on the selling, but focus on how my product, my service can help you, because I know the problem that you're having. My product solves your problem, and that's ultimately what you want to show in your content. Another super big creative mistake that marketers are making, they're simply missing the hook. You have about 2 to 3 seconds to really grab someone's attention in a video or in a reel. So right from the get-go, you need to start strong. Don't waste on introducing your brand right away. Don't introduce yourself. No one cares about this. But you want to start super strong with a hook. So whether hooks like, before I knew this product, or I bet you didn't know, or I can't believe I didn't do this earlier. All these small one phrase lines really help to grab attention. And once you find a winning creative, iterate on it rather than ditching it altogether. I've seen it times and times again where an ad is performing, and then instead of creating iterations out of that ad creative, out of that winning ad creative, companies just entirely ditch that creative and create something new. That wastes time, it wastes money, and it's just not a smart way to do. You always want to create iterations of the ad creatives that are working. Because the best way to build a successful strategy is to utilize what is already working and then create small variations to see if the new creatives, so once you do the iterations, once you create different variations, do they outperform the initial winner? And slowly and slowly and slowly, this is how you build a really solid strategy. Mistake number 4, weak or inconsistent call to actions. A strong call to action makes all the difference, but only if it's relevant to the offer. So for example, a shop now works well on an e-commerce, but it feels extremely out of place if you're offering free consultations. So I recommend stick to one clear call to action across your ad to avoid any confusions from the viewers. And also remember that testing your call to actions like learn more versus get started is the key to be successful online. Because keep in mind, what might work for one audience doesn't necessarily work for the other audience. So you want to see what works best for your audiences. Also monitor your click-through rate, CTR, to see what really resonates with your audience so you can optimize accordingly. Of course, the higher your click-through rate, the better your ad resonates with your audience. So the more people are clicking on your ad, meaning they're interested in your ad. And then you have to see what comes after. So let's say they click on your ad and they go to your landing page, but they're not converting. That might not be an issue on the ad side, but that might more be an issue on your landing page. So the click-through rate helps you to first understand, do people even click and resonate with the ad that I put out there? Mistake number 5, and this is a huge mistake, poor pixel setup and budget allocations. Now, of course, it's super easy to create an ads manager on Facebook and to launch your first campaign. But a lot of marketers, a lot of business owners miss this one crucial aspect, and that is setting up your pixel. And the pixel is super, super important before you start any advertisement online. So whether it's Facebook, whether it's Reddit, LinkedIn, TikTok, you always want to implement a pixel. Especially in our cookie-less environment, any information that you can get, any pixel information that you can get, really try to rely on them. Ultimately, a pixel is just a piece of code that you would add to your website. So with this pixel, you can set it up so you can track page views, you can track add to carts, you can track lead form submissions. So all the important things that you want to track to make your ad perform better. And then Facebook needs this accurate tracking so they can use that knowledge to optimize your ads, to deliver them to people that would take those actions. So they would deliver it to people who are more likely to submit their lead or to place an item in the cart or to purchase your product. And if you do not have a pixel in place, so if you run your ads without the pixel in place, whether it's Facebook ads, Google ads, Reddit, LinkedIn, TikTok, whatever it might be, your ads will not fully be optimized. So they have a hard time finding people online that would convert with your ad, and that can cost you a whole lot more money. So before you start anything, implement the pixel. If you don't know how to do it, ask a friend, Google it, or turn to a developer and they can simply and easily implement the pixel on your website. And when I say website, you want to make sure it's on every single landing page your ad will point to. So let's say you have a website, but then you use a completely different tool for your landing pages. You want to make sure the pixel is also installed on your landing pages. And I also mentioned in mistake number 5, budget allocations. When it comes to budgeting, many business owners underestimate the funds it really needs to run a Facebook ads, and especially at the beginning for testing. If you have a very small budget, or if you have a lot of limitations around your budget, that can lead to incomplete data and missed opportunities to really find top performing creatives. It can really slow down your creative testing progress or testing in general, or you might not even have enough money to really finish this testing phase. And here's a tip from experience. Avoid spreading your budget too thin. So instead of running 20 different campaigns, focus on fewer but well-funded ones. This will allow Facebook to serve your ad properly and to give you reliable insights on what's working. And of course, if you ever need help or if you are still overwhelmed by Facebook, you don't really know how to set it up, I always recommend hire a pro to really get the social W for running Facebook ads. Because at the end of the day, Facebook ads is an art and a science. And if you make mistakes on your Facebook ads, it can cost you time, but more importantly, it can definitely cost a lot of money and a lot of missed opportunities. And to pat myself a bit on the shoulder and to do some self-promo here, of course, this is where I come in. I mentioned before that I have over a decade of experience managing digital marketing campaigns, so from Facebook, TikTok, Google, Reddit, LinkedIn, whatever you name them. I know what it takes to turn ad spend into revenue. So if you're ready to optimize your campaigns and get real results, let's work together. And this also led us yet again to another episode of the Content Marketing Cheat Sheet podcast. I'm so glad you tuned in today. I cannot wait to see you next week. And let's get the social W together with the social wisdom. Until next week, goodbye, or how we say in Germany, auf Wiedersehen.